Hello there everybody, Bunneh here, and in this video we're going to be determining if your character's size or gender actually matters in ARK Survival Ascended. I made a video like this in the past for ASE where I ended up debunking a lot of the common misconceptions and misunderstandings about the character models. Given that ASA's character creation is entirely different than ASE's with a lot more customization options, I figured this would be a great video to re-explore. Plus, in that last video, I made a lot of jokes about race and gender that some people found to be offensive. I just wanted you all to know that I've seen the error in my ways, and I apologize to everyone. Not for the jokes, of course. I apologize that I didn't go harder. You Bunnehs are some sick motherfuckers and loved that last video. So this time around, I'm doubling down on the stupid humor for the sake of education and entertainment. So buckle up, it's gonna be a fun one, snowflakes.
What
The first thing I wanted to test was the difference in hitboxes between characters of different size and between male or female characters. Asexual homogeneous creatures. The first batch of non-binary, non-gender specific test subjects just happened to have penises. One is as small as possible, while the other one is as large as possible. The character models, that is, not the penises. One identifies as black, while the other one identifies as white, and if you're confused, you're racist.
Wait a minute.
First, I wanted to test the differences between the character's frontal planes. I aligned my character perfectly perpendicular with each of the test subjects and tried to use the arrow keys on my keyboard to ever so gently move the camera. I did have to use the mouse on occasion to get precise shots, but it was pretty infrequent. As you can see from the footage, some of the bullets are passing right by the first subject and hitting the second one, confirming that being a larger character does result in a larger hitbox. With that being said, the hitboxes don't seem to be nearly as tight as they used to be in ASE. To further confirm the difference in hitboxes, I had each subject stand side by side and I aimed for a headshot on test subject number 1. As you can see by the damage number, I am indeed getting a headshot, whereas when I strafe directly to the right and fire the same shot at subject number 2, it counts as a body shot. I repeated this same test in a sagittal plane at different angles with the same results. Larger character equals larger hitbox, although it's inconsistent to say the least. I've repeated all of these tests with two racially and sexually diverse, non-binary, non-gender specific subjects that just happen to have vaginas. The results of all three tests remain the same, with the larger character model having a much larger hitbox than the smaller one. Lastly, I compared two non-gender, non-racial specific subjects with all of the sliders turned down. Even though these two individuals are completely equal in every single way imaginable, at least in my eyes, test subject number 1 seems to have a very slightly larger hitbox than test subject number 2, although it's damn near unnoticeable. Like seriously, if you think this would make a difference in PvP, you're crazy. Alright, next up is swing speed. In ASE, individuals who identified as males had a faster swing speed than individuals who identified as females, so I was curious if anything changed in ASA. I used a straw dummy to gauge DPS output in the first part of the test, and a wooden pillar to gauge DPS in the second part. Both subjects have all of the sliders turned all of the way down, no points invested into melee damage, and a basic sword. Both subjects have also eaten tacos for lunch, just for the sake of consistency. Subject number 1 didn't enjoy the tacos because he felt oppressed by his Nordic heritage, whereas subject number 2 didn't enjoy them because they were an affront to a culture that she's otherwise completely unaffiliated with, but still felt offended for.
Mother of bitches.
As you can see in this side-by-side comparison, both characters seem to be swinging at the same exact speed and generating the same DPS output on the straw dummy. Now in ASE, there was a clear visual difference between genders that made me take testing to the next level in a wooden pillar, and although I didn't see that difference here, I still wanted to test it further to confirm. Surprisingly, it seems that the swing speed of genders has been completely balanced in ASA, because they were both able to DPS the wooden pillar down in the same amount of time. I even let both characters pass out from the torpidity and immediately resume DPSing just to ensure the most accuracy in testing, and both characters seemed to break it at about 2 minutes and 24 seconds in. Alright, next up is arm reach. In ASE, there was virtually no difference between genders or character sizes, so let's see if that still holds up. I locked my camera using a ladder like before, and began to swing towards the straw dummy while slowly moving forwards to find the precise spot the DPS would begin. I made sure not to rotate my camera and made very small movements for the best results possible. I compared both the melee distance of a sword and the melee distance of a pike. Subject number 1 has the shortest arms possible, while subject number 2 has the longest arms possible. Both identify as the same gender, whatever gender that is, and as you can see there's virtually no difference in their melee reach. I retested this with two other subjects who identified as the opposite gender of the first set of subjects, Jesus Christ that belly button, and the results were the same. Here's a side-by-side comparing both sets of subjects from one extreme to the other, and once again the results were completely the same, concluding that neither size nor gender matters in regards to melee reach. Alright, next up is jumping. This is actually a brand new category that I decided to test out since jumping changed so much from the original game. Oh my god, there's boob physics! Oh my god, oh, why is this my first exposure to this? Please make it stop! Now, measuring the height and length of a jump is a bit tricky since there's no real way to precisely measure it. But I'm an American, goddammit, and we make up all of our units of measurement anyways. That being said, I decided to use the rungs of a ladder as a way of measuring jump height and the rails of a railing to measure length. The first subject identifies as an extremely well-endowed flamingo with all of the sliders turned down. The second subject also identifies as a flamingo, but was cursed with a micropenis and has all of the sliders turned up. Now, as you can see in this side-by-side comparison, there's a pretty big visual difference between the jump height of the two test subjects using ladder rungs, so I wanted to take testing a step further to ensure accuracy. I used this row of foundations on sloped terrain to find the exact point that I could jump up with each subject, which just happened to be the same exact spot, indicating that jump height is unaffected by character size. As for jump length, I made sure to achieve maximum velocity by sprinting for the length of 2 foundations and jumping at the very end. This enabled me to jump for a length of about 3 foundations, or 9.5 upright rails, indicating that jump length is also unaffected by character size. I repeated all of these tests with 2 other subjects who identify as flamingos, but with raging vajayjays, and the results were the same. Comparing these 2 types of subjects side by side further confirms that there's no difference between genders. And finally, we reached the last topic of the video, and that is character collision on objects. While the hitbox for character models differed in PvP in the original game, it was always balanced in regards to PvE stuff, and I wanted to see if that was still the case or not. I wanted to test the height at which characters can fit vertically and their width horizontally, as well as if camera positioning changed at all based on size. Subject number 1 isn't even human, but rather a subconscious thought on this meaningless plane of existence, while subject number 2 identifies as
donkey teeth.
The easiest way I found to test a character's height was to set up a sloped ceiling and walk as close as I could towards the sharpest angle. As you can see from this example, both characters are restricted from progressing forwards at the same exact point, indicating that size doesn't hinder or help in regards to fitting into spaces vertically. I tested this horizontally as well by sloping 2 walls inwards, and as you can see, there's also no difference here in regards to how far forwards they can progress. Lastly, I wanted to make sure that a larger character model wouldn't be impacted by things like overhead doorways. Now, even though there's a huge visual difference here between third-person, first-person mode reveals that the player camera is in the same position regardless of how big your character is. So in conclusion, your character's size and gender does matter in some regards, but makes no difference in other cases. While many of ASE's character nuances did carry over to the new ASA remaster, some things have indeed changed as confirmed in this video. Males now have an extremely comparable hitbox to females, and there's no longer any difference in swing speed between genders. The size and shape of your character does impact your hitbox, but doesn't change things like arm reach or jumping. If I missed any important categories, or if you have any questions regarding the character models, be sure to leave me a comment down below and I'll try my best to help you out. And that about wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave me a like down below, subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you can stay up to date on all of my latest content, join the Discord for a community of like-minded woodland creatures, and please keep leaving me comments because they warm my little Bunneh heart. A special thank you goes out to all of the Bunnehs that support me on Patreon. You guys are amazing, and if you would like to support me and the content that I create, you can now do so for as little as $1 a month. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.